Hi everyone, we are live in another session of the Excel Weekend 7 running from inside the Excel Turbo channel. I'm Cristiano Galvão here talking from behind the backstage. I'm here with Jordan Goldmeier live directly from New York City. He's shaking hands, so let me remove the banner. Hey Jordan,
Hey, how are you?
good, good. It's a pleasure to see you here. Thanks for
Mhm.
accepting the invitation. And now let me go back to the backstage because our time is precious and uh, they want to see every content that you have now. Thanks and enjoy everyone and have a great session.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that introduction. So we don't have a lot of time here today. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to just show you what we're going to build today. And let's see here. I'm going to share my screen. And then one other thing I'd like to do, and I know you can just see me talking to myself here, is I guess we have the comments here. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so thanks everyone. Um, I'm wondering how I can send if I can send you guys a file. Is that possible, Cristiano?
Uh, yes, you can send me
Or
a
like,
link in the private
okay,
chat and
awesome.
then I can distribute to them.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna throw this in here. This is the file that I'm gonna be using today. If you want to go and
Mm,
download it, you can't do. I'm gonna move fast, so don't try to do step by step, but rewatch it, and I'll show you what we're gonna be doing. So, all right, so
excellent.
I'm ready to go. Um, so this is what we're going to be building today. Let me show it to you here. Okay, so we have basically you can look at this as it's like if you've seen those charts like on Yahoo Finance, right? So you have this long set of time series data down here, and then you can use this timeline selector to highlight what you want to look at, and then down below it would update as you can see here the the area that you've selected. So let's see here. I'm going to move a little bit later in time. So I'm going to show you how to build something like this. So this is the small inset, and then this is the larger one. Will we build something that looks visually exactly like this? Probably not. I don't know if we have time to fill out everything. So I'm just going to give you the mechanics of it. Plus, I got a little Power Query in there just to make it a little harder. Um, let's see here. Before I start, I'm going to give you a sense of what this is built on. So we see a timeline here. If we have a timeline, that means we need to have a pivot table. So the basic way that this works is I have a pivot table that is going to have a set of years and months that it's going to use. And then that pivot table is going to drive that pivot table is going to drive kind of what the monthly boundaries are, and then we're going to grab those monthly boundaries and put them into another chart that captures everything. So if that sounds confusing, that's okay. We're going to just actually jump in and do it. So the data set here, and if you were going to do this on your own, I have timeline selector start here. This is where you would be starting if you were to rewatch this. So this is my tornado data set. This is a real data set of tornadoes that happened from 1950 to 1994. So we're going to have to take this data and get it ready for our dashboard. So how are we going to get this ready? Well, one of the problems we have here is that this tornado data is already in a pivot table crosstab like format, right? So see, it's already like that, like this. We have the months going across. So this is not going to work if we try to just put it into our data set as is. So we're going to need to use Power Query to unpivot it, and then we'll be ready to use it. Also, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Power Query to take the data and create some dates out of it that we can use, some date data types. So I always like to do that whenever I'm doing Power Query. I just like to think through what I'm going to do next. All right, so first thing is, you could use Power Query on all this data here and then remove the rows, but I'm just gonna take an extra step right here, highlight those and hit delete, and then I'll put year here in total. So I could have done that in Power Query, but it's okay that I didn't because I feel like it was easier to do it out here. So highlight that whole thing. Probably didn't need to do that. Control T on my keyboard. My table does have headers. And even though I'll never look at this table again, I'm going to get rid of the banded rows because I hate banded rows. So, and I'm also going to call this raw data, just to give myself, just to remind myself. All right, so I'm going to go to insert, or not insert, I'm going to go to data from table range, and this is going to open up Power Query. And let's just see here. I just want to see what kind of comments we have going on. Awesome. Hello, everyone, by the way. Hello, 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 hello. Thank you so much. Love being here. All right. So we'll jump back to the data real quick. Just want to keep those comments coming. By the way, thank you so much for inviting me to this. I've watched the other Excel weekends. I've seen them. And it's just really exciting to be part of it this year and hopefully in future years as well, because I think that this is some really, really cool stuff going on. And I love the idea that Excel and learning is just global now. So really excited to be part of this. All right. So here's what I do. Here's what I got. I got the year here total. Here's my total tornadoes, January through December. We need these to be unpivoted. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight year in total rather than highlight the other ones. And I'm going to right click on this and hit unpivot other columns. I love doing other columns because it's like, you know, it doesn't matter how many other columns you have out here, right? So I love doing that. It's like the generic way of doing this. So I don't have to highlight everything. Okay, so we have the year here, we have the total here, we have they call this the attribute, you know, when you unpivot a column and a value, right? So let's make this data a little bit better. First, I don't think we're going to need the total anymore because I'm not looking at total tornadoes for the year. I'm looking at it per month. So right click, that goes. Next thing here, we have, I'm going to call this one month here. And then this one is going to be, I mean, I guess I could call it the value. I'm going to call it the frequency here. All right, so what I want to do is, and I actually did not practice this part because I was thinking as I was building this, I could do this differently. Usually I do the date, I create the date after this part, but I feel like if I'm in Power Query, I should just create the date now. I mean, that makes sense to me. So let's see here. You guys can watch me mess this up. Let's see how I can do this. I have the month here, I have the year here. I think what I'm going to do is, I think I will put month before year like that, and then I'm going to highlight both of them like that, and then I'll do a merge column like this here. So I'll call this date, and under the separator, I'll go to custom. This is space 1 space, right? So it's going to be Jan 1, comma 1950. I don't know. Let's see if this works. This should work. Yeah. So January 1st, 1950. And I can click on this here. Let's see. I'll hit date like that. Oh, I was so close. See, now what happens here, this is so funny because you see we got these errors here. So I'll get rid of that step. It's because this is sept, S-E-P-T, and not S-E-P, so it doesn't know how to convert that September, right? So just one of those funny quirks because this is someone else's data, and clearly they were okay with that. So that means that what I need to do is I got to do replace values first. So value defined as sept, we'll replace it with sep. Boy, that's annoying. All right, so now that we've done that, we can do a date here. Okay, so now it's working, right? So we got, let's see here. That's the second month, third month, fourth month, at least according to the American date system. Okay, yeah, so we like that. That looks good. I'm okay with that. I would, let's see here. I wonder if I can change the format real quick before we have the date here, before we go. Nah, I think I'll be okay with that. All right, so we're gonna go to File, Close and Load. And here we go. Okay, so we have our dates. We have our total tornado frequency. So, and we have my favorite thing here. We have the Excel table, right? So this is, let's call this a dashboard data. Enter like that. So I'm going to go down here, call this one dashboard data like that. Okay. I like to pair my data sets up with my worksheet tab names. So then let's see here. Let's hit delete on that. I think what I got to do next is I got to create a pivot table. So You all heard about the pivot table that walked into the bar. Bartender says, hey, should I start a new tab? All right, so that's better than the SQL developer who came into the bar. Bartender says, join any table. And that's even better. That's even better than the Access developer who drank too much because he just had one too many. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take date here. We'll drop that into rows like that. And of course, Power or pivot tables now have the smart date thing, quote unquote smart, because it doesn't always bring us what we want. So in this case, I want, let's see here, months and years. Is that how I want it to be done? I'm going to actually go back to my data set. Let's see here. Do I want it that way? I don't think so. We're going to actually go back to my dashboard data because I want this date data to look a specific way. I'm going to highlight this whole thing here. Highlight this whole thing here. Go to more number formats. I know I did this like a special way last time I built this. Let's see here. See if that actually fixes it. It probably won't. I just want it to be, let's see here. We'll drop that in. And then I think if I just go and ungroup it all, there's some people who are just so good at pivot tables. Is that me? I'm all right at them. You know, I get by, right? I know enough to be dangerous. I'm gonna do my format that I like. Okay, so I'm gonna drop the frequency in here like that. So what do we have? So we have the month in the year, and we have the total values. So that looks good. Okay, so this is almost like, this is the plot. This is going to be our zoomed in plot. This is going to be the one that gets controlled by the timeline. So check this out. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to go in and I'll go to insert here. I'm going to insert a timeline like this. Okay, we'll hit the date because of course, as we know, what are timelines if not slicers on dates, right? So let's just check it out. Let's just double check that it works. Slice this here, slice. Okay, it looks perfect. It works great, right? Why wouldn't it work? All right, so before I go crazy, I'm going to click on view here and get rid of the grid lines. It looks so much better already. All right, so now what we need to do is, and I'm just going to double click this here, call it dashboard. Next thing we need to do here is we need to go back to our data set and well, let's see here. Before we do that, I'm going to insert, let's put a new chart on this just so we can actually create our inset chart. So here's what I would call the inset chart, right? Because what happens is I can select my tornado data like that. And you can see this is the zoomed in version. Plus, I'm going to go to months here and change that to years like that, just so I can select more. Okay, so we see, so this is going to be our zoomed in version here, like that. Get rid of that. All right, so now we need to get our smaller version. So how are we going to get that? How are we going to get our smaller chart that shows everything? We need to get the date boundaries, right? We need to get the date boundaries from column A of my dashboard tab. So I'm going to go to my dashboard data. Out here, I'm going to call this max date for the maximum date. Call this min date over here. And then I'm going to call this named range dashboard data dot max date like that. Dashboard data dot min date like that. Okay, so let's get the min and the max date. Super easy. Watch this. All right, so I'm just going to say equals max like that. And then I'm going to go to my dashboard, my actual dashboard over here, and I'm just going to select column A like that. There. Close it off. All right, so that gives me a date value, which is this right here, 1992. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go min, go to my dashboard data, select column A like that. All right, so that's going to give us our maximum and our minimum like that. So basically what we need to do is create a mechanism such that, for first of all, a chart's going to show everything, and then it's going to have an extra kind of shaded region on it that's going to be within this boundary here. So to make a chart that shows everything, easy, right? Highlight this whole thing, insert, line chart, boom, okay, right? So, and I'll hit Control X on this because I just wanted to put it up top. So I do this. Okay, so that part's easy. That part's easy enough. So now I want to add a little extra something in here that's going to show, that's going to help me understand which data I'm looking at as described by the timeline. So first we got to do is we got to check if the data is within the same region. So I'm going to type in, let's see here, check here, or let's put it in within region like that. The question mark in here like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test if this here is greater than or equal to the minimum date, right? And it is less than or equal to maximum date, like that. We'll hit enter. Okay, so that's saying false here, but we know that that's not purely true, right? Because if we scroll down far enough, or if I just click this over here, we see that let's just filter out the trues, all right? So we know that that's not true, that these ones are, these are within that range. So we have that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, I'll call this series within range, like that. And this is a super easy test here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll do an if. Okay, so we'll do if it's within region. I don't need to test, if this equals true or false, because it's already true or false. It can be plugged into a conditional like that, right? So if it's within the range, we'll put out the frequency, otherwise generate an NA error like that. So we did that, Control C. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that onto my chart here. Oh, so actually, because it's connected to a table, you can see it already put itself on the chart. So it was able to pick that up. You can see this orange line here, this orange line that's kind of going down the bottom. That's the within region one. So I'm going to right click this here. Select, I'm going to remove that. But because I hooked it up to a table, you can see that it's actually working right away, which is really cool, right? So what I can do here is I can go to Format, Shape Outline. I can make this like a lesser highlight. Let's make it kind of like that. And I can click on my other region here, like this, make that one darker, like that. So now I know that that's what I'm looking at. In fact, I think this one's a little too, let's see here. Let's make that a little less. This, by the way, this is literally what I do. I spend all my time looking at charts and saying, oh, we can make this better. We can make that better. All right, so this looks good here. So that highlights the range, but I'm not exactly satisfied, all right? Because actually, I want to do something. I also want to kind of shade the region behind it too. So just let me know that just give a little extra emphasis to it, all right? So how can I shade that region behind it? I'm going to create another series on here. So we're going to call this shaded selected region, like that. And I'm going to test here if this is also true. So we can just highlight that there. If that's true, I want it to bring back the max of frequency. I mean, this is not my favorite way of doing this. You should probably, each one of these is going to run the max of frequency. So is that smart to do it? No, you should probably put this in one cell and then refer back to it. But hey, we're already on a roll here, so why not? Okay, so we're going to do the max of frequency here. Otherwise, we can do an NA like that, close it off. Okay, so that means that we're only going to plot the max of frequency. Let's just see if we got that. So that's 399. I like that. That looks good. Now, this one, for whatever reason, it doesn't look like this one automatically went onto the chart. So what I'm going to do here is I'll highlight this one, Control C. That. My chart, Control V. Okay, so you can see it went up there. So here it is right here. That's my line chart that went in here, but I'm going to go to chart design. I'm going to change chart type here, and I'm going to change that one to a column chart. Or no, do I want to? No, not that one. It's not showing. It's not the one I want to change. I want to change this one here. This one here, and do a column chart like that. Go ahead and hit OK. And then I'll right click this here, and I'll just do, is it the overlap? No, I think it's the gap width, no gap width. So they're all touching. Okay, perfect. So now we have our shaded region like that. I'll click this. We can format, make it kind of gray. Okay. Take this here. Now that I've built it, Control C, go back to my dashboard over here, Control V. Okay, so now it's just really a matter of laying it all out, right? So now that we've built this, I'll just do some layout stuff here that I like to do. Let me move this over here. You know, you know, if you're going to hire an Excel developer, make sure to check their references. And all right, so I'll click this over here. What I'm going to do is here's how I like to format my charts. I like to do the plot area, as we know, is the center of the chart, right? That's the plot area. I like to give that a nice gray line. And then the chart area itself, I go in no outline. Okay, so I do that. Gives it a cleaner look. Right click on these things. I hate these things. All right, so they're gone. We're going to move this up here. Now, I didn't do such a great job, I think, of, in this case, of making the colors match up. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to click on this here, put on my same sort of chart rules like that. So click this on the outside, shape outline, no outline like that. Let's see if we can make these colors line up. So I'll go to format here. I'm going to make this kind of more of a red, because like what I want to do here is I want to say that we're effectively connecting the same story. So whatever someone selects over here, I like using the same color because it implies the same thing. And one other thing is, and I've never done this before, but I want to change this series type. I'm going to make this one a shaded area chart like that. Let's see if I'm going to be okay with that. I'll hit that. Okay, and then I don't like the fill on that. Let's just make it I think it should just be kind of like a shade like that. And then under outline, what if we did no outline? Or we could do, let's see here. Does that look better? It kind of looks better. That's a little new. Okay, so last thing is you could format the timeline itself, but I think formatting timelines are just a kind of a pain. So I don't do a whole lot of that, but you could go in here and format it. Now, one other thing is, I'll delete that because you only need one set of rows. And just remember, don't plot these on the same chart, because if you plot them on the same chart, you're going to mess up the scale. So just make sure that you're able to do that. All right, so you all have the download file. You can take time if you want to make it look like mine, and that's how we build that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the comments before we wrap up. Awesome. Thank you so much for this is so cool. Thank you so much. Great tips. Greatly appreciate it. Someone says, I choose your tutorial over others. Don't worry about it. It's not a contest. Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. So one last thing I want to tell everyone about. You can go see this on LinkedIn, but I am starting an Excel class here, Excel dashboards, or for data heads. And I'm running, because I'm just doing this now. I'm just putting in, like, recording these videos now. It's very, very cheap as compared to what it's going to be. So make sure to take a look on LinkedIn. I don't want to use all this time to sell. I also want to remind everyone that I did come out with a book, Becoming a Data Head. This has nothing to do with Excel. It really has nothing to do with Excel. I'm going to stop the screen share here so you can see my face. It has to do with data in the workplace. So I think it can be very useful for people if you work with data, and you have to run a data science project. You got to talk to stakeholders. How do I do this? What's going on? The kind of stuff that they'd like to hear. So thank you so much. Really appreciate having me on.
Yes, thank you, Jordan, for accepting the invitation. It was great. I couldn't expect nothing different from great coming from you. And I have to say that I knew this trick from you because you showed me before. And
Oh
but
yeah.
it's always evolving, and it has more elements now. So it's amazing. They are saying thank you here, thank you, great trick, nice to listen to you. Uh, and guys, follow Jordan Goldmeier on LinkedIn, Twitter too. On LinkedIn, he is always talking about this book that is a new thing that you must read.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.